Imagine you're 17, going into your senior year of high school again. You are actively playing sports and excelling in the magnet program at school. You feel like you are making people proud. You have a strong group of friends, an incredible family that loves you, and you are secure with yourself. The people that love you describe you as kind, gentle, innocent, empathetic, and responsible. Then out of the blue, after grieving the loss of a close friend, you are arrested on February 28, 1999. You are then charged with first-degree murder. You and those around you are flabbergasted and think, how can this be? This day changed Adnan Syed's reality and life as he knew it forever. It changed how the world saw him and even how those he cared about viewed him, and he will spend the rest of his life trying to recover from the events that happened to him so young. On January 13, 1999, an 18-year-old girl named Heyman Lee went missing from Baltimore County. Hay was seen to be a well-adjusted and involved teenage girl as well. Who would want to harm her? Hay's ex-boyfriend, Adnan Syed, 17 years old, was charged in her killing. But could this 17-year-old really be capable of strangling his ex-girlfriend in a parking lot? The prosecution will try to tell you that without any physical evidence, Adnan is guilty. Adnan was convicted only on the counts of Jay Wilde's testimony. Jay later admitted to lying in court, so how does this make him reliable, and how can the court trust him to tell us the truth? They will try to make Adnan's past mistakes define him to this day. The media and prosecution can take shots at Adnan's family, his religion, every part of his life was scrutinized and put out in the public for others to judge. For example, his mother did not approve of dating but was okay with him hanging out with male peers. This was one of the reasons that led to Hay and Adnan's fallout, not being able to be together fully. They were forced to keep their relationship a secret. Adnan was able to charm her effortlessly, and they continued the relationship even though Hay was upset. Eventually, after feeling like she was fighting an uphill battle, Hay broke it off. Not only will the court try to tell the jury that this makes Adnan deceitful, they will also say that his habits on the weekend also make him a liar. Adnan drank and smoked at parties, like a normal teenager, and of course without his mother knowing. Now I want you to take a look back at your own high school years. When was the last time you broke a rule? Did you learn from it? Did someone get hurt? Do your mistakes when you were a teenager define you today? Do these characterize you as a murderer? No, they don't, and Adnan deserves a fair trial. Adnan was convicted only on the counts of Jay's testimony. Jay even admitted to lying in court, but received no consequences. Even more suspicious is that Hay's boyfriend at the time of her murder, Don Kleindienst, was never questioned.
Try to put yourself in Hay's shoes. You go to work often and work with Don Kleindienst about 8 times. You've been dating for almost a week and a few days before you go missing under mysterious circumstances. He doesn't call, text, or try to check on your whereabouts or why you haven't been in contact. Don was 22 and Hay was 19 when they met each other at work. They knew each other when Adnan was still in the picture. 10 days after the breakup, she begins her relationship with Don. Don was Hay's rebound guy, and maybe that's why he wasn't worried when she disappeared. Maybe he was the dark and mysterious troubled guy that she fell for and never had a close connection. Maybe she felt bad for him. We don't know why she was with Don or the full extent of her emotions towards him. They only knew each other for about 18 days. We were told by Don's mother and her girlfriend, the manager of the store, that Hay worked weekends and Don worked weekdays. They pre-entered his check-ins and outs before he and Hay were together. 1/12/99. I love you, Don. I think I found my soulmate. I love you so much. I fell in love with you the moment I opened my eyes to see you in the break room for the first time. Hay Menley. Hay felt in love with Don. He was older and smarter and made her laugh. She wrote about him in her diary. She followed him like a lost puppy and would ask him where he was going whenever they worked together. They officially worked together on January 1st, 1999. Is it a coincidence that she went missing the day after her last entry about her obsession with Don? Hay wrote an obsessive entry, January 12, 1999, talking about soulmate and loving him the first time she met him. Don never tried to find out if Hay was okay. He hid instead. He was barely even talked to by the police. They never looked at his phone records. They didn't look much into his pre-entered timestamps at work, and his DNA was never tested or cross-matched to the evidence. Don was barely even mentioned in the podcast. He didn't have much known about him. He never talked about Hay as if she was already dead to him. In every new relationship, there is some type of jealousy, hate, or even rivalry between the new and ex-boyfriend. When Hay's car broke down, she called Adnan, then Don. I wonder if Dawn was upset that Adnan was there for her. Another person who disliked Adnan was Jay. Jay hated the fact that Adnan had a better relationship with his current girlfriend than he had with his girlfriend. Adnan was the gentleman that girls liked, while Jay and Dawn were the bad boys girls were drawn to. Maybe Hay was trying to fix Dawn, and in return, he may have killed her, and Jay might have helped.
There was no evidence brought up in this case that proved beyond a reasonable doubt that Adnan Syed committed this heinous crime. The prosecution has relied on the testimony of Jay Wilds, a self-acknowledged compulsive liar. Jay had lied to the police on multiple occasions regarding this case and claimed that he had the motivation to lie in order to avoid criminal punishment. The state has ignored and glossed over the fact that Jay's story has been inconsistent from the very beginning. Though it is normal to have minor inconsistencies when retelling your testimony, Jay completely changed important parts of his story. In Jay's first taped interview, he claimed Adnan had told him to come pick him up off Edmondson Avenue. He then later changes his story in his next interview and tells police that he picked up Adnan at Best Buy. Jay claimed the reason he had lied was because he thought there were cameras in the Best Buy parking lot. But if that were true, wouldn't those cameras help prove his story? Why wouldn't he initially say that he picked up Adnan at Best Buy? He lied to keep himself out of trouble. With no cameras at Best Buy, there is no proof as to what truly happened there. Jay also lied about helping to bury the deceased, Heyman Lee. In Jay's first taped interview, he claimed he refused to help bury Hay. Yet, in his second interview, he said he helped Adnan bury Hay, and it took them, quote, 20 to 25 minutes, unquote, to bury her body. Jay also claimed that Adnan had told him he was going to kill Hay about 4 or 5 days before it happened. Though 2 weeks earlier in his first interview, he said he had only found out about the murder on the day it took place. All of these inconsistencies show that Jay is fabricating a story, not telling the truth. A true story would not have this many discrepancies. The conviction of Adnan Syed should not be based on the sole testimony of Jay Wilds. How can anyone trust a witness who lies repeatedly? Jay's testimony should be considered inadmissible as evidence due to the multitude of discrepancies in his story. Without Jay's testimony, the prosecution has nothing pinning this crime on Adnan.
When looking back at all the evidence in the case of Hay's murder, there is not any true evidence to put Adnan away. There is Jay's story, which is a switching random facts, no matter how small the facts were. He even knew the exact spot where Hay's car was, yet Jay was not looked at like a suspect. The prosecutors helped Jay pay for his lawyer and were always mad if someone made Adnan look good in court. Then there is Dawn's alibi with work. Those facts are not credible. Dawn's mother was the boss and Wednesdays was not a working day for him. The phone records are only accurate on outgoing calls, yet the ones used in Adnan's case were incoming calls. So those calls all just need to be thrown out in this case. There were people who saw Adnan after school when Hay's murder would have happened. There has been a lot of other details that have been dismissed throughout this entire case because they did not fit the storyline. The one key piece of evidence that is missing is DNA. The entire case has not a single fingerprint, skin, hair, or saliva. Items found where Hay's body was never tested. How do detectives know 100% that someone caused such a crime with zero DNA? Anon will never get the years spent in prison for a murder he could not have done back. Yet again, the justice system has failed another innocent person.